Hi guys, welcome back. Today I have a really interesting video for you. I have Al Tepper from Tepfu, and we're going to be talking about, as two entrepreneurs, how to be productive, how to be positive, how to have the right mindset with this coronavirus situation going on. And without further ado, I want to just introduce my guest today. Welcome, Al, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Kamsi, for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm so happy to be here.
So, Al, let's start with this. I know that you're an incredibly productive person. I know that you're a very happy person in general. You have this vibrant energy about yourself wherever you go. I had the pleasure of being in the same room with you as well, so I know this is not a video thing. I know that you have a YouTube channel. We will talk about it, but give us some things, like some tips about yourself. How are you holding up now with this situation, and some general information about what you do?
Cool. That's great. Thank you so much. So a little bit about me. I've been in marketing for 20 years. Things people don't know about me. I've been an American football coach. So I've run teams of people and I've run entire teams, and I've kept people's spirits up when they're literally being beaten up on a playing field. I am very focused on strong use of my time, which is why you and I get on so well. Because we don't have all the time in the world, and positive habit. And ultimately that leads to a mindset that is a can-do attitude. At the end of the day, everything's a challenge if that's what you say it is. Some people call challenges opportunities, and boy, are we in the middle of opportunities right now. So it's a pretty crazy and exciting time. So yeah, but ultimately, I find it easy to stay hopeful, and people around me draw off of that. That doesn't mean I don't have my down moments. Of course I do. I'm a human being. But the reality is I very quickly have a process that helps me remind myself and contextualize where I am and remember what matters. So that's why I'm still smiling.
Perfect. And we love your smile. I know that you're the branding expert. I know that you're the guru with this. And I want to talk about that a little bit, but I just want to
Sure.
understand when you talk about positive habits, because I feel like right now this situation is actually physically separating people, but mentally and spiritually bringing people back together. I think kindness is back, but I know how hard it is to keep positive. We have a natural tendency to keep positive whatever happens anyway, like you said. But I want to dive into that positive habits that you talked about, especially having your own business. I'm sure that business is hard right now. With everybody, this it feels weird for some people to sell. It feels weird for some people to buy still. This is an economic crisis as well at the same time. So talk about those positive habits and what you think about this economic crisis as well a little bit.
Cool, thank you. You mentioned the word kindness. I'm going to go straight in on that. At the end of the day, kindness is two ways. You've got to be kind to everyone that's in front of you, and you've got to be kind to the person behind the eyes, right? And I'm a big Brené Brown fan. Big shout out to my wife for introducing me to Brené Brown. And kindness and forgiveness are the opposites of shame. And ultimately, what we're all afraid of is failure most of the time, and that fear drives us into the wrong habit and the wrong behavior. So for me, when it comes to making the best use of my time, the first thing I'm trying to be is kind to myself. I only have so much time to give. So I'm very, very brutal with my time. What do I mean by that? In practicality, I run a Google Calendar. My wife runs a Google Calendar. Our days are scheduled. That doesn't mean we don't miss stuff and we don't do unscheduled stuff. And life is plenty spontaneous, believe me, but we're as structured as we can be, and that's vital. The second thing is I hate pointless meetings without agendas or pointless phone calls without agendas. Why are we talking? Why are we meeting? Well, for the next few weeks, guess what? We're not going to be meeting. So we have more reason to get better focus on what we're using our time for. And that's a great outcome for me, because I can't tell you, I'm sure, Gamze, you've had the same thing. How many shall we go for a coffee meeting requests have you had in your life? And you just think, oh my God, who the hell's got time just to swan around having a coffee? That's not what real life is, especially running your own business. And I'm trying to run more than one, actually. There's a lot of balls to juggle. I think ultimately the biggest productivity tip I would offer would be around diary management. You've got to be brutal. You've got to put stuff in your diary, action stuff off of emails. Don't leave it till tomorrow. Don't rely on your brain. Basically, outsource your brain. That's the biggest productivity tip. Put it in Google, put it in Microsoft, wherever you want. Stop trying to remember everything. And a paper diary, how many times can you amend that before it becomes a mess? You can do it on paper if you want, but I'm a digital guy all the way.
Perfect. I'm a combo person when it comes to planning, but you're absolutely right. Flexibility is key, and Google Calendar just gives you that flexibility. I love how you say you're very strict with your time, and especially now, people feel like they have more time. They're maybe spending time on Netflix and stuff. I think this is a perfect opportunity to start working on the things that you have been procrastinating for a long time. Maybe making a list of things that you wanted to do for a long time that have positive outcomes, positive impacts on your life. Or maybe creating a really good morning routine, something that many people maybe didn't have time to do before when they had to commute and spend that time on the road as well. What are you doing? I know that you were very strict with your coffee dates, but you were still going on meetings. Right now, you're not. What is the things that you're including in your schedule to stay happy, but to get things more things done in terms of the extra time you have in your hands right now?
Okay, cool. So I'm going to be a bit disruptive, if that's okay, and ask a question before I answer it. It's rhetorical. So the question is, if we were busy before, how do we have more time now? And the reality is, if you weren't busy before, what the hell were you doing? Who wasn't busy? I mean, everyone I know running a business is busy all the time. They don't have enough time standard. So now I have even less time. So what am I doing instead of meeting people? I'm meeting people online. I'm having more online connections. Zoom, buying shares in Zoom is probably a good call right now because if they're publicly traded, any of those organizations, Skype, Microsoft Teams, GoToWebinar, but Zoom is my favorite. But those guys that must be making a lot more noise. So I'm meeting people online a lot more. I'm doing a lot more online Zoom calls, and recently found some other apps that are connecting people in other ways. I'm speaking to family more than I ever have, just to check in and make sure all around the world, make sure they're okay. But in terms of business, I'm using the time to double down and figure out how to pivot and do stuff that matters to my business and to the people and the audiences I serve. And some of that's for profit and some of that is just to serve them. So I actually don't feel like, I see a lot of people on Facebook saying, they've got loads of time, they don't know what to do. Most of the people I know who run a business also now have their kids at home. So they have even less time. So now is the time. If there's one thing that comes out of this amazingly massive car crash of a virus, if there's one amazing thing that comes out of it, is that we'll all value our time more. And boy, do we need to. We've been very lazy for quite a few decades, I believe, as a civilization. And we really, this is a real wake-up call. First of all, science wins all the time. Secondly, you've only got a certain amount of time. Use it bloody well. For God's sake, people are mucking around and wasting time. People used to say I work too hard. I didn't think I worked too hard. I love what I do. So I was never unhappy and felt enslaved. At the end of the day, how privileged are we that we can moan about having too much work to do? Hands up, anybody that's watching this that wishes they could say right now, I've got too much work. Not a lot of hands going up because most people are losing clients, losing work. So right now, whatever position you're in, if you find yourself with more time, you need to be speaking to people like Gamgee and me because you're not using your time well.
Amazing. I just love everything that you said. I'm backing everything up. I watched a TED video a while ago. He was talking about the procrastination monkey in the brain that takes control over. Did you see that
Oh,
one?
yeah. Oh, yes.
It showed on the screen how many weeks we have on an average 80-year-old, I think, life. And it was just unbelievably little boxes on that screen. And he was saying that when you're in uni or when you're studying, there's the panic monster because there are deadlines, exams, and this and that. But when you're thinking about your life, maybe you're not an entrepreneur or business owner. I mean, business owners are busy by nature, yes, but maybe just for life, thinking about the things that you wanted to do, but you didn't have the panic monster coming up, the deadline coming up, and you've been procrastinating, maybe connecting with your family, maybe, getting your house in order. Some organization goes a long way, in my opinion, and time management as well. So absolutely, this is the perfect time to take control of your time and your days and what you're doing with those days, because it is so limited. Perfect. So Al, I wanna understand, if I ask you one thing to go to everybody who's watching this video, business owner or not, student, housewife, whoever might be listening to this, hearing this right now, if you could give one single advice, what would that be?
Wow, cool question. So I've been asked that a few times recently, and there's a few things I've said, but the one thing I'll say is everyone should go and read a book by a guy called Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist, and he was tragically caught up in World War II and spent time in concentration camps, lost his family. And as a psychiatrist, he used it as an academic exercise to try and understand what made some people survive and other people perish. And what he discovered, and it's the most incredible life-changing book, because it'll remind every single one of you watching this that already the solution is within you. You've had it all along. The solution ultimately comes from the observation that he scientifically established that it's not strength that determines whether you survive through challenging periods or not. It's nothing to do with how big your muscles are, how fast you can run, how good a talker and charming you are, or how clever and brilliant you are, or how well fed you are. Actually, that has very little bearing. What had most bearing was he discovered that the people who had the best propensity to survive, and that common ingredient was hope. And it's powerful. It's powerful because we all are capable of hope at any moment in time. Some people, of course, have significant differences neurologically that mean they may not be able to cope. But on the whole, the majority of people find it easy to switch from negative to positive. And you can all find examples in your lives of where you've had to do that, where one tiny thing has changed your outlook on life. So for example, if anyone watching this won $100 million on the US lottery right now, you would mostly agree that your attitude would go from negative to positive in a heartbeat. So we know it's possible. And we know that hope absolutely is the primary determinant to survival. So you have to give yourself reasons to be hopeful. You have to start looking forwards, not backwards. You have to be a can do, not a can't do. You have to believe that tomorrow will be different. You have to accept that nothing lasts forever and that everything constantly changes. We know that those are true. And so therefore, hope is the one kindness, coming back to kindness, that you deserve to give yourself more than any other. Right now, more than in the last 100 years, possibly at any time, does every single human being on this planet, united as one, need to give themselves something to hope for. I don't care what it is, whatever matters to you, seeing your children, looking at a flower, going on holiday, having a party, taking a sip of coffee, going back to Tim Hortons in Canada, no advert, they haven't paid for that, but whatever it is that you want to do, have hope that you're going to do it again, because it's that hope that will drive you forward. The opposite is equally true, and you can't go backwards. There's no reverse gear, there's only forwards. So the question isn't, are you going to move forwards or backwards? You're going to move forwards. The question is, what are you going to do whilst you're moving forwards? How are you going to be whilst you're moving forwards? Who are you going to help whilst you're moving forwards? And what difference are you going to make whilst you're moving forwards? So I hope that helps.
Incredible. It does help a lot. So we're saying enjoy the little things, keep a positive mindset, stay at home, but hopeful, and do the best that you can do with your time right now. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think we can wrap this up. I think it has been an incredible chat. Thank you so much for being here again. Guys, again, please don't forget to check out Al's channel. I'm going to leave the link in the description box below. Hopefully, I will have you here again, Al, for another chat, maybe in a more positive time. Maybe we'll talk about some branding and business advice as well. But thank you so much again.
Thank you very much, Kemji.
And guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next videos. Don't forget to subscribe. Take care. Stay healthy. Bye.